Hey everyone, I'm Nicole,
And I'm Gabrielle.
and we are the hosts of the Spiritual Sisters podcast.
Join us every week as we discuss all the spiritual topics like astrology, mediumship, psychic insights, and so much more.
We are often joined by others we have met along our spiritual journey who are well versed in many of these areas.
Get ready for enlightening discussions and interviews and personal experiences that we hope will expand your mind and get you thinking outside of the box.
Whether you're a seasoned spiritual seeker or just beginning your spiritual journey, there's something here for everyone.
Check us out every Tuesday wherever you get your podcasts. See you then.
Bye!
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Soul Ecosystem Podcast. I'm your host, Anne Rising, professional soul contract reader. And today we are going to be doing something a little bit different. I'm not posting a video for this episode. Going to try to see how I feel energetically, just only putting my voice out there and not like a visual. So this episode might be a little bit short. We are going to be diving into another subconscious program, but next week's episode I'm really excited about because I'm going to be having Layla, the healer, on Instagram, if you guys know, on the podcast, and we are going to be going over her soul contract, and I'm very excited about that. I hope that works out because we've had to reschedule a little, but yeah, so today we are going to be looking into another subconscious program. So if you guys want to buckle up or just sit down, grab a cup of tea so that we can explore this and I can kind of give you the rundown of this program, we can do that. So the program we are going to be diving into today is called the Prison Program. And this is a program that is it doesn't go hand in hand with the previous program that we discussed, the Trap program, but there's a lot of similarities there. So I decided to kind of piggyback off of the theme of the Trap program and bring you guys into the Prison program to kind of give you some insight into how that manifests and how you can kind of get out of that mentality. Because I do think that this program manifests a lot for many people, some in a more diluted way than others. But for others, this is like a gigantic, like for people that actually have this in their soul contract, this is a gigantic lesson that they need to learn to overcome in order to help evolve their soul. So let's get into it. For the Prison program, I see this program pop up a lot. And oftentimes it is a literal, very much literal, I'm not going to say often, literal prison sentence. I've seen it manifest as such in a few of soul contracts I've looked into, specifically for, oh my goodness, it's either Hernandez or Menendez. I think it's Menendez. For the Menendez brothers, I've seen that manifest for them, literally. One of them has the prison program. Interestingly enough, I think it's the brother that technically initiated everything that caused them to go into prison. So yeah, in their case, the prison program manifests literally like a prison sentence. And that is because the prison program is all about limitations. It is all about learning to overcome limitations and know that the limitations that are being kind of thrust upon you are just in your head. They're not so much like happening to you. They're happening as a byproduct of your inner mind, of your thoughts. They're manifesting into reality. So it is a subconscious program that shows up in the life of somebody who cannot stand to be constrained by anything. This is a person that flourishes in impulsivity, flourishes in very like a wild child kind of life. You could probably see them do the whole like not refurbishing, but like rebuilding a van or revamping a van and then like going across the country. This is a person that doesn't like to stay grounded, stay in one place too long. A normal job where they have to sit in a tiny cubicle or like work in a very tiny workspace would feel so constraining and so suffocating to them. They crave freedom. And oftentimes what happens is that they are purposely, the universe puts them into situations where there's physical constraints, emotional constraints, financial constraints, or like relationship constraints. And it really wants these people to go inward and learn how to process those constraints that are being mirrored back to them in their reality in order to let go and not live according to societal rules, because these people are meant to be hyper free, uber free. What's wild about this program is that freedom isn't just a preference, it is a need. This is like the air they breathe. This is like the food they eat. This is something that they need. People with the prison program literally cannot thrive if they feel trapped. When this program is running in a negative sense, negatively, it can show up in very literal ways. So like I mentioned before, an actual prison sentence, an injury or disability that limits physical movement. So this is a physical sense. Relationship sense example would be a marriage that feels suffocating, a marriage that feels like it is a prison sentence, a marriage that feels like you can't get out of it and feels suffocating, or financially via a job that feels like a dead end or like it's just same feeling, suffocating you. This could also manifest socially. If you end up traveling to or just moving to a different country and either you don't know the language or you have a hard time finding a social circle, finding people that are like-minded, and then you start feeling isolated and kind of trapped in your apartment because you can't go out, because you can't like have social interactions. So that's how it would manifest socially. Specifically for women, this might show up in a way where they feel trapped by pregnancy or having children. So women with this program may specifically avoid that, may specifically avoid trying to get pregnant, avoid having children, because they feel like that would be the end of their freedom. They feel like that would be very impossible for them to do because of how impulsive, I don't want to say impulsive, but like free thinking and like go with the flow they are. They wouldn't be able to kind of ground themselves and make a routine for themselves and for their kids. And that feels very constricting for them. So I want to kind of bring this to life by looking at some public figures who carry this energy in their charts. And a few of these public figures are Kanye West, Madonna, Demi Moore, Ryan Reynolds, Barack Obama, Richard Gere, and James Franco. Those are the few celebs that I've found thus far with this program. Again, the Menendez brothers, one of them does have this program and it manifests as a physical prison sentence. But let's start with the example of Kanye West. Kanye's whole career has been about breaking out of the box. I think we can all agree that he is definitely somebody that does not like constraints for himself personally. He might place them on other people, but he likes to think outside of the box. He pushes against norms, whether it's in music, fashion, or even politics. He refuses to be controlled by record labels, contracts, expectations. If you think about it, every time people try to pin him down or define him, like he reacts by rebelling harder. So this is somebody that's very, very obsessed with their freedom, and they feel it's very important to them to have that kind of freedom. So they might rebel to an exaggerative state, like to an insane extreme point because of how much they value it. His life is a constant fight for creative freedom. Then there's Madonna. She's the ultimate reinvention queen, right? She has refused to be boxed into any one version of herself. Every few years, she breaks free from an old persona and creates a new one. She's challenged societal norms about age, sexuality, religion, feminism, you name it. Her prison program shows up as a refusal to let society tell her what she can't do. So again, this rebellious nature, very important for her to have all of the space she needs to express herself, all the space she needs to be who she wants to be. And she's changed that a bunch of times. She's reinvented herself a bunch of times. And she doesn't want to inflict any sort of constraints on how she can express that. And being a creative person, being a singer, being an artist is the perfect profession for these kind of people. For people with this program, I keep saying these kind of people. So Demi Moore, if you look at her story, you'll notice themes of breaking out of difficult beginnings. She left an unstable home as a teen, dropped out of school, went straight into modeling and acting, and later in life she's spoken openly about how marriage and motherhood sometimes felt limiting to her own growth. So here we see that constraint that is physical for her. She feels like it was a constraint for her growth in order to kind of be put in a motherhood role. And she couldn't flourish as much as she would have if she didn't have children, didn't kind of settle into the home life, right? Ryan Reynolds, his prison program energy shows up in how he's pivoted his career multiple times, from sitcoms to rom-coms to superhero films to business ventures like Aviation Gin. He's always evolving, never staying put too long. It's kind of like he doesn't want to put all of his eggs in one basket. He's just like branching out as much as he can because he doesn't want to limit himself to one thing. He doesn't want to limit himself to one idea, one version of himself. He doesn't let the Hollywood system typecast him. He also seems to balance family life in a way that doesn't box him in. Barack Obama. You might think, wait, wasn't he in one of the most rigid jobs ever? And yes, the presidency is incredibly constraining. There's a lot of rules, red tape that you have to follow. But if you watch him post-presidency, you'll see his prison program energy start to come alive. He's traveling, writing, speaking, producing documentaries. And I dare say that he's thriving much more with all of this wiggle room, with all of this space, without all of the red tape, without all of the constraints, and doing work on his own terms. He is no longer bound by the political office. And it's like a new freedom has been unlocked, like the ultimate freedom. Like, where do you go after you have been the president of the United States twice, you know? Then there's Richard Gere. Sorry, not Greer. Richard Gere is a super spiritual celeb. I think he's one of the only celebs I know that practices Buddhism. I'm sure there's others, but part of his journey has been freeing himself from the materialistic side of Hollywood and ego. His activism for Tibet is literally about freeing others from oppression. He channels his prison program into fighting for other people's freedom, which is very honorable. Lastly, we have the example of James Franco. Franco is the perfect example of somebody who refuses to be boxed into one identity. He's an actor, director, writer, painter, teacher. It's almost like he can't not explore a million different paths. His program shows up as a refusal to commit to just one lane, which is very similar to the rest of the celebs that I mentioned in these examples. He doesn't want to be stuck in one role forever. And I feel like collectively, all of these public figures thrive on having multiple paths to choose from. One day you want to be a professor. One day you want to write a cookbook. The other day you want to do this. They like to mix it up. And this is giving me like really air energy. This is giving me somebody that does not want to be tied down for too long at one point. So I'm guessing that when they're filming a movie and it goes on for months and months, it's incredibly taxing on them because they have to kind of be on the set, be in that environment for a long period of time. So I wouldn't be surprised if then after the movie they take an extended hiatus where they are able to kind of just do a bunch of different things in order to kind of rebalance themselves. Now, maybe you're listening and you're thinking, okay, this is definitely me. I definitely don't like constraints. I like to be able to travel somewhere at the drop of a hat. Maybe you felt stuck in a job or in a relationship. Maybe the idea of a mortgage or a 9-to-5 or a pregnancy or having multiple kids and being a soccer mom is terrifying to you. Here's the thing. People with the prison program are meant to move, to expand, to explore. And one of the biggest recommendations for people with this program is to not tie yourself down to things that you will resent later. This is not to say, like, don't have kids because you might resent it later. You can travel with kids. You can travel the world with children. You can find a system that works better for you. This program is always about thinking outside of the box and not limiting yourself and your thinking to societal norms, right? So if society says, oh, but it's so difficult to travel the world with children, you can make it work. You can find a way to make it work. There's always another option if you would like to do both, if you would both like to travel and have children. Another recommendation is to avoid contracts, avoid debts, avoid mortgages. These kind of people thrive with like a rent contract that's only like 6 months or month to month or only a year, nothing more than a year. Anything to you that might feel like shackles, anything that kind of makes you retract into yourself and be like, oh, that's uncomfortable. I can't believe I'm stuck here for a year or longer. That's your sign to start kind of zoning in on that and being like, why does this feel so contracting? Another recommendation is to travel often. Move your body, explore new cultures, try new foods, try new cultures, try new foods from different cultures. This is a person that can't keep going to the same mom and pop shop that they have in their neighborhood. They need to try all of the restaurants in their neighborhood or all of the restaurants in their city. They like to try new things. Another recommendation is to cut out anything that you are overly dependent on. So the part of the prison program, and here's the contradiction. The part of the prison program that is a little tricky is that even though you may be all about going with the flow, kind of setting your own pace, setting your own schedule, there are still things that you limit yourself with, you restrict yourself with. You may have habits or certain vices that constrain you. Like say if you are a smoker, then this is constraining you to needing to step out for a cigarette every few hours or at a certain time of the day, right? So you need to find all of the ways you're kind of contradicting how you want to be free, but then you're not because you're at the mercy of these vices, of these things that keep you caged. They keep you controlled. And you guys are all about not being controlled. You are all about being able to breathe freely, move about freely, branch out, and go into whatever lane that you want to go into. This program thrives when it is allowed to roam free. But the moment you try to box it in, that's when frustration, resentment, and even physical limitations can show up. So, if you are someone with the prison program, know that your craving for freedom isn't selfish. It's literally built into your design. You are not meant to do life like everyone else. You're not meant to follow the same paths or the same rules and check the same boxes. Your soul came here to expand, to roam, to keep moving. And this is what this program teaches you. It teaches you to expand your horizons, expand your thinking, find the thoughts and the limitations that you place on yourself and expand them so that you can have more freedom to do what you want to do. Every time you honor that, you break free a little more. So if you have this program in your contract, pay close attention to anything in your life, any thoughts in your life that limit you in any way, that put parameters or boxes around you, anything that doesn't feel expansive, because you guys need to break those boxes down, fold them away, put them away, and live more expansively, live more free. Thank you so much for joining me today on the Soul Ecosystem Podcast. If this resonated, or if you want to get your own soul contract reading done, please go to my Etsy shop, The Soul Ecosystem, or go to my website, thesoulecosystem.com. Like, follow, review, subscribe. Thank you guys so much. Have a lovely Friday and a wonderful weekend.